Yeah, I was just talking to someone on my phone right before the studio time, and I said, "Listen, it's studio time. I have to go. I have to record this because I'm late again." And every time I say studio time, I always think about this all like advertising from the 80s when I was in France, when there was this hair gel from L'Oreal. And the name of the gel was Studio Line, right? So I remember that ad, and it was so catchy. The tune was really, really catchy. But that has nothing to do with anything today. I'm just, talking out of my dude. All right. So, as a start. En effet, depuis quelque temps, plusieurs navires s'étant rencontrés sur mer avec une chose énorme, un objet long, fusiforme, parfois phosphorescent, infiniment plus vaste et plus rapide qu'une baleine. So yeah, you guessed it right. That was Jules Verne. And this is not a story about Jules Verne. This is not a story about his great books. Something else. So, even if James Webb's recent discovery of possible evidence of life in the K218b atmosphere may still captivate you, I think this is more significant because it is 100% confirmed and is in fact the largest discovery in marine biology in decades. The next one might be on Europe. Let's hope. So yeah, a week ago or more, was my birthday. 36 for sure. So I'll give myself permission to revisit my favorite topics with salty water. I must add that this is incredibly amazing news. Exactly 100 years after the initial discovery of the colossal squid, we found the colossal baby. And the baby colossal squid they discovered is already larger than what we often think of as squid. For example, the European flying squid, Todorotus sagittatus, has a maximum mental length of 1 meter and a usual mental length of 25 to 35 centimeters. And the newly found newborn colossal squid, which was seen alive for the first time in its native environment, was already 30 centimeters or 12 inches, approximately 1 foot, I believe. So their maximum length is 23 feet or 7 meters. With tentacles, they might reach 46 feet or 14 meters. The Schmidt Ocean Institute's remotely operated vehicle captured this youngster on camera at a depth of roughly 600 meters in the South Atlantic Ocean, close to the South Sandwich Islands. And the Schmidt Ocean Institute, by the way, is a non-profit operating foundation founded in March of 2009 by Eric Schmidt and Wendy Schmidt in California. Its mission is to advance oceanographic research and discovery. My obsession with deep waters could be or was comparable to my fascination with deep space, starting with my early childhood fascination with the shallow beach seas, where I learned to swim almost at the same age that I started to walk, and continuing through my brief days playing water polo and naval service immediately after. When it comes to the sea, I haven't missed much between obsessed with Jacques Cousteau's documentaries. Oh, how I wish to visit his museum again in Monaco, yeah. And Jaws, Das Boot, Nautilus, Le Grand Bleu, and The Abyss. But probably the main reason that the best part of me is always in the sea is because of my sailing grandfather. Yes, my favorite flavor, you guessed it right, is anything oceanic. It might be diving, sailing, or just browsing Jane's ship inventory or watching a video of a cleverly marinized bus engine. I adore anything related to shipbuilding, marine biology, maritime exploration, naval warfare, and related history. We can investigate everything from the surface to Marianas Trench. Naturally, other things like paint, for example, are less interesting. And we don't give them much thought. Paint is still paint, whether it's on a frigate or a wall. However, there are some far more fascinating aspects of the ocean. Even Though I'm largely exaggerating, it's still enjoyable to let your mind go wild for a little while. Yes, we still don't know how much about our planet, but it doesn't always mean that people there, at least not where I come from, believe in nonsense. But what if a squid isn't just a squid? What if it's not a squid but belongs to that weird branch of cryptozoology we read about in some weird books? What if it's something else entirely, a second origin hidden in the deep oceans of our own planet? Is it accurate? Is it ours? How can we even determine what's what when the majority of the ocean is still a mystery to us? Also, I'm unable to verify whether the Collosal squirts ink, but we do know that the giant squid does. Either way, that would be amazing to witness. It would also be absolutely absurd for me to try to figure out how many calamari risottos a colossal squid could produce. Well, let's not treat one of the sea's most magnificent giants cruelly. You never know when you might find yourself in deep water without assistance. Yes, I'm a very good swimmer, but in the cold seas where the colossal one lives, it takes less than 15 minutes to become unconscious, and without protective gear, death usually happens in 45 minutes. Although I personally believe that the surviving time is largely exaggerated. If you have ever experienced like swimming, you know what I'm talking about. Yes. The salt concentration prevents the water from freezing even though it is below zero. You will still freeze, and perhaps that is for the best, because I'd rather deal with a polar bear than a giant squid. Furthermore, how in the world do they get so big in comparison to their relatives from warmer oceans if it's so cold? Well, it's polar gigantism. And polar gigantism is the term used to describe the tendency of certain marine invertebrates in polar regions to develop notably larger body sizes than their counterparts in warmer seas. The following are important features. Arctic gigantism is primarily associated with frigid, oxygen-rich Arctic seas, whereas deep sea gigantism happens in abyssal zones, depths greater than 1,000 meters. Low temperatures lower metabolic rates, whereas cold Arctic seas hold more dissolved oxygen. Larger body proportions might be made possible by this combination, which might be loosened restrictions on oxygen delivery. There is a relationship between oxygen availability and maximal body size in Antarctic amphipods. And it does not, however, apply everywhere. Despite gigantism, Antarctic I can't pronounce this Latin like Pycnogoni, sea spiders, whatever, do not exhibit an excessive sensitivity to hypoxia, indicating that other factors might be more important. Longer growth periods might be supported by seasonal phytoplankton blooms in polar locations. A larger size might be preferred in stable Arctic environments due to less competition or predation. Different taxa exhibit gigantism in different ways. Certain mollusks and other polar organisms exhibit nanism or reduced size. Growth trajectories or life history trade-offs, such as delayed reproduction favoring bigger size, might be altered by cold temperatures. Gigantism might be more common in lineages that have pre-adaptations for cold tolerance. Antarctic waters are home to the largest invertebrate today. Compared to their tropical counterparts, species such as Eurythanus gryllus can grow to size of 2 to 5 times. Plus, rather of having a single cause, polar gigantism most likely results from a combination of temperature, ecology, and oxygen dynamics. So, recent footage of a young enormous squid captured in the South Sandwich Islands in the South Atlantic Ocean has proven that the species primarily inhabits deep sea levels, usually approximately 600 meters or 2,000 feet below the ocean surface. Since adult colossal squids are said to live in even deeper waters, people seldom ever see them. The squid likes the mesopelagic and bathypelagic zones of the pelagic region. Young enormous squid are found in depths ranging from 0 to 500 meters, which generally corresponds to the epipelagic to upper mesopelagic zones, as I said earlier. Their vertical distribution also varies with age. From the mesopelagic zone to the upper bathypelagic zone, adolescent squid lived at depths of 500 to 2,000 meters. The mesopelagic and bathypelagic zones are home to the majority of adult giant squid, while some specimens have been captured or inferred at depths above 2,000 meters, which is consistent with the bathypelagic zone. So that's why baby colossal squid was actually spotted. Colossal squid need a special biological adaptation utilizing ammonia to stay buoyant in deep ocean depths. And these big squid species contain an ammonium chloride solution spread throughout their body, in contrast to most fish that float by using gas-filled swim bladders. They can establish neutral buoyancy and travel effectively in the deep sea without using a lot of energy, since their dissolution is less thick than salt water. And since their deep sea habitat offers the cold, high-pressure climate that is ideal for their physiology and hunting tactics, they're hardly ever observed in shallow waters. Their huge, highly developed eyes, the largest in the animal kingdom, are adapted to the low light levels of the deep ocean and aid in the detection of prey in the dark pelagic zone, as well as predators like sperm whales. I seriously can't stop thinking about how awesome it would be to create a resin eye of a giant squid. Everywhere you go, it would follow you. My God. Because of their extreme caution and ability to sense light or disturbances from human technology, the giant squid avoids human contact, since they aggressively avoid potential hazards like research vessels. Interactions are uncommon in the vast and three-dimensional deep sea environment. When drawn to prey like hooked fish, adult enormous squids may occasionally venture into shallow waters. However, this is rare. In general, because of their adaptations to darkness and pressure, enormous squids are primarily found in deep ocean waters about 600 meters and deeper. Because of their elusiveness and avoidance behaviors, again, they are rarely spotted in shallow areas. Colossal squids are found in the so-called twilight and midnight zone. Animals here frequently have slow metabolisms and bioluminescence because it's either totally or partially dark, cold, and under a lot of pressure. In addition, there's a crushing pressure and temperatures close to freezing. Many creatures rely on their other senses instead of their eyes. At 1,000 meters below the surface, temperatures are almost steady and range from 2 to 4 Celsius. At 6,500 meters below the surface, the pressure can be as much as holding a small vehicle on the tip of your finger because it rises by around 1 atmosphere every 10 meters. And there's a total darkness, as I have said, below 1,000 meters, since no sunlight can reach these depths. These severe circumstances make it difficult to explore the deep water, necessitating the use of cutting-edge technologies like remotely operated vehicles and manned submersibles like the 6,500 meter dwelling Shinkai 600 and 500, right? And which is one of the world's deepest diving human submersibles. It's a manned research submersible built by the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, or JAMSTEC, that can descend to that depth. And since its completion in 1990, it has received numerous updates to boost performance and research capabilities, including upgrades to its thrusters, batteries, and video systems. I'm pretty sure Japanese have no problem with that. The bathysphere was a spherical deep diving chamber that was dropped on a cable and created by Otis Barton and William Beebe. It pioneered human-occupied deep-sea exploration in 1934, reaching a record depth of 923 meters. Yes, actually, it all really seriously began with the Batiscaf Trieste revolutionary deep diving ship built by Auguste Piccard and his son Jacques Piccard that could reach incredibly deep depths. When U.S. Navy personnel Jacques Picard and Lieutenant Don Walsh visited the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench in the 1960s, they made the world's deepest manned dive, plunging to a record depth of more than 10,000 meters. Something around like what's that, 35,000 feet? Yeah. And then Alvin comes next. Alvin, an American manned submersible built in the 1960s and still in use by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution with a 4,000 meter depth range. Numerous scientific studies have made considerable use of it, leading to the discovery of enormous tube worms and hydrothermal vent populations. It has 3 crew members and it's outfitted with scientific instruments and robotic arms. Additionally, Batyskaf Trieste, which was again created which was derived from FNRS 2 and FNRS 3 from the 1940s. Just to let you know, FNRS 2 had limited success once it was finished in 1948, and the U.S. Navy purchased an upgraded version known as Trieste 2 and dubbed it FNRS 3. On March 26, 2012, James Cameron, the expedition's leader, conducted a historic solo dive to the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, the ocean's lowest point, at the depth of roughly almost 11,000 meters, so that's again 35,000 feet. This dive was the deepest solo dive ever documented and the first to explore the ocean floor for a considerable period of time, almost 3 hours, which is great. No, Lovecraft's incredibly dull demons were not the inspiration for the colossal squid's scientific name, thank God. In any case, he was a terrible character developer. Additionally, oh my God, Meso-Nychoteut Hamiltoni wasn't named after Hamilton the watchmaker, and I'm rather certain that quality diving gear might be obtained in a less snobbish methods. If you want to go all out when plunging into the dark abyss, try Seiko, or if you really cannot avoid being all shiny and not so useless, try Magnificent Sin. Off topic again. Regretfully, it wasn't named after any of these amazing deep dive watches that I adore. Unexpectedly, it was named after the American socialite and philanthropist Elizabeth Hamilton, who was a fervent supporter and advocate of Alexander Hamilton's activities and efforts throughout the American Revolution. All of that is really not important. It's just a colossal squid, a very common and ordinary thing. Or is it? Of course not. The colossal squid is one of the most fascinating and amazing organisms of the deep water, with multiple records for size and anatomical features. It is the largest invertebrate on Earth and has the largest eyes of any animal, larger even than those of whales. And here we are. Researchers have successfully captured the big squid on camera in its natural habitat for the first time. The baby colossal squid was described at this time as being nearly translucent with tiny arms, which is in stark contrast to the adult's strong red or purple coloration. The mature colossal squid, on the other hand, can reach a length of 7 meters and a weight of up to 500 kilograms. And this event marks a significant milestone as it is the first time a live kid of this species have been observed and recorded in the wild. And again, the specimen observed was a youngster, barely about a foot long, and nearly translucent in comparison to the enormous opaque adults. And this represents a significant breakthrough in the study of species that was previously only known via accidental captures or remains found in predator stomachs. It belongs to the glass squid family and it's mostly found in Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. Despite sharing a common habitat, colossal squid do not consume penguins. The main food sources for giant squid are otter squid and enormous deep-sea fish such as Antarctic or Patagonian toothfish. Their hunting strategy involves ambushing victims in deep dark seas using tentacle hooks and a parrot-like beak. There is no evidence that adult enormous squid feed on penguins, despite Antarctic diets demonstrating that penguins eat young gigantic squid. Penguins feed on young cephalopods and lesser squid species near the surface. So yeah, then again, I have to bust the myth, or this is a story that I heard. There is currently no evidence to support the ecological significance of gigantic squid as penguin predators, despite the fact that they are consumed by sperm whales, sleeper sharks, and elephant seals. The weight on a giant squid can range, as I have said, from 600 to 700 kilos to like it can be a half a ton, right? Their sharp spinning hooks on their limbs are something really, really interesting, and tentacles are their most fascinating characteristic. Additionally, their eyeballs, again, are huge. They can reach a diameter of 40 centimeters, like 16 inch. Right, and they're the largest in the animal kingdom. I mean, this is crazy if you see it. Like, the colossal squid was originally described scientifically in 1925, precisely 100 years ago. The species was recognized by two arm crowns discovered in the stomach of a sperm whale close to the South Shetland Islands. The specimens were gathered by marine biologist James Eric Hamilton, and later that year, Guy Coburn Robson formally described them. The first adult specimen was found in 1981 when the Soviet trawler Eureka unintentionally captured a nearly 17-foot young giant squid in Antarctic waters. Although it was not yet fully grown, this was the first intact specimen, and the landmark specimen from 2003 and 2007. That was 2003 was off the southern coast of New Zealand. A 20-foot dead squid was found, and 2007 was in the Ross Sea. A fishing boat captured a 30-foot, more than 1,000-pound adult. It is on display in the Te Papa Tongarewa Museum in New Zealand and continues to be the largest intact example ever documented. I have no idea how did they preserve it. So our young guy, a 30-centimeter juvenile, which was captured on camera by Schmidt Ocean Institute, remotely operated vehicle on March 9, 2025 at a depth of 600 meters close to the South Sandwich Islands. And this was the first verified sighting of the species in its native environment. It's a fantastic news. I don't know, and it's really significant. The video was taken during an ocean census expedition. This proved the notion of the mature squid as a monster, quotation mark, by showcasing its translucent body and thin arms. So, Kat Bolstad and Aaron Evans, squid specialists, verified the identification by pointing out its unique tentacles and fin shape. The majority of data before 2025 came from stranded adults or remnants in the stomachs of predators. Live observations were practically impossible because of the species' secretive behavior and deep-sea environment. The 2025 discovery demonstrates developments in cooperative marine research and deep-sea imagining. Well, in popular culture, that's something really we all know. But the Kraken, a squid-like creature linked to heraldry in the Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire books, is the emblem of House Greyjoy of Pike. Although the mythical Kraken is associated with both enormous and colossal squids, giant squids are the main subject of historical narratives and fictional works such as Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, from the very beginning of this story. Despite being less well known in the media than its relative, the giant squid, the gigantic squid, has sparked specialized references and teaching materials due to its enormous size and mystique in the deep water. Giant and colossal squids both are featured in the Whale of Squid episode, which highlights their ecological responsibilities and interactions with sperm whales. Also, Colossal Squid of the Deep from 2020 by Victoria Cleal, illustrated by Isobel Joy Te Ahawai, chronicles the life cycle of a colossal squid blending science, Maori knowledge, and Antarctic ecology. It won the 2022 2021 Whitley Award for Best Children's Book. Te Papa's Collosal Squid specimen in New Zealand has become a cultural icon, inspiring documentaries and educational content. Last but not least, because of their lengthier pop cultural history, giant squids are the subject of the majority of squid-centric media, whatever that means. Well, I remember there was this like a watch from the early 90s, or was it 2000? I don't know. And the name of the watch was Squid, I believe so. Yeah. Well, at the end, you know how we all have intrusive thoughts here and there, and mine for today is not very original. It's more like something you often heard from Miss World contestants. Well, if we can only stop putting so much money in nuclear subs and other weapons and build new Trieste, Bariscuff, and other hardware for ocean exploration and use it for exploratory purposes, something useful and better than dumping garbage at the bottom of the ocean, something we do all the time. Yes, so it was Earth's Day not so recently, yeah, and it was time to consider reimagining the planet, and they should have named the baby squid. I mean, they did it with the dolly, the sheep, and this discovery is not less amazing. So I'm surprised it was not named after some characters from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Maybe you can choose the right name for it. The selection of the right name is crucial, believe it or not. The name is the sign. Stay selective. Bye-bye.